Hurricane Sam has started its intensification again. As you can see on the satellite, it is beginning to clear its eye out, which is a clear sign of strengthening. As seen here, the eyeball is starting to wrap around. It's a pretty tiny eye. I'm going to pause it right here. So you can see uh, it's almost at a -70 ring around the eye, which is generally never a good sign when it comes to these things, because that tells you that this thing is strengthening at a pretty quick pace. And so basically, the NHC's latest advisory is out. Sam's intensification has resumed as the hurricane slows its forward motion, so it's starting to rapidly intensify again. So that's not good, but we'll go ahead and read the advisory. Center is located at latitude 12.1 degrees north, longitude 44.8 degrees west. It is moving towards the west near 12 miles per hour. So it has slowed down. It is slowing down. It was at 14 miles per hour 6 hours ago. Now it's 12 miles per hour. And this motion is expected to continue with a general decrease in forward speed and turn towards the west-northwest over the weekend. Maximum sustained winds have increased to near 85 miles per hour, with higher gusts. Rapid intensification is forecast over the next several days. This thing's already starting to rapidly intensify again. So, last video, I'm going to actually go back. I'm going to go back 40 frames to show... Actually, no. Let's go to 60. Show you what I'm talking about. So, this was, let's see. Yeah, this was, hold on, let me check. Yeah, this was 10 hours ago. I was pretty sure it was 10 hours ago, but I wasn't sure, so. Yeah, this is 10 hours ago, where the system really was starting to increase and expand in size. And let's play it through. As you can see, the system is expanding in size for the next 6 hours, and now, here it is again. It's starting to intensify. So it spent the last 6 hours really expanding the core of the hurricane, its size. It's still a very small hurricane, but the size has expanded quite considerably. So, yeah. It's also gotten a lot stronger, too. As you can see, there's some -70s on the parts of the edge right here at the outflow area, so yeah, that's something to keep an eye on. Hurricane force winds and tropical storm force winds haven't changed. They're still at 15 and 16 miles respectively, and the pressure has plummeted quite a bit more. It was 993 6 hours ago. Now it's 986. So, yeah, that's 7 millibars in 6 hours. So this thing's definitely starting its rapid intensification again. So yeah, that's a little over 1 millibar per hour. For rapid intensification, you need basically like 1 millibar per hour for 24 hours, or 24 millibars in 24 hours. And this thing has met those requirements in this latest advisory. We have the cone that just came in. The cone right here goes only to 2 p.m. Wednesday, and some of the parts of Lesser Antilles, they're getting pretty close to the edge of that cone of uncertainty right here. As you can see, this is where it is now, 85 miles per hour. It's expected to start making that turn over the weekend, sometime Saturday or Sunday, and depending when this starts turning may depend on how great the impacts are. Also, noticed from 12 hours ago, this cone has started to shift a little more towards the west than originally, and the tracks basically they also are noticing this trend to an extent. So for the next 24 to 36 hours, it's going to move towards the due west, and then it's going to turn towards the west northwest, and then the majority of these models have it turning more towards the basically in a westerly way, and then basically just a week out they have it going out to sea. But at this point, it's really too early to say really too early to say where it's going to go and everything. The models are in general agreement that this thing is going to continue to the west northwest, although shift a little more to the west than it was in last cycle. So yeah, that's something to keep an eye on. And depending on how large this system gets and how strong it gets, depends on the impacts that the northern Leeward Islands here will get. There's no model here that has it making a landfall, but we could see some outer bands hit the parts of the Leeward Islands. We could see basically a lot of swells, a lot of rip currents, and that's at the current time. So This is the latest intensity models. Now, an 85 mile per hour hurricane. I know Tropical Tidbits has at 70 knots. It's actually not. It's at 75 knots, so they need to update that. So yeah, majority of the models have this thing really rapidly intensifying. And by 24 hours, some of the models have it going up to Cat 3 strength, which I think is possible. And then more of the models, including the NHC, has it going up to Cat 4. The National Hurricane Center now has this thing at a peak of 140 miles per hour for everyone listening to this. So yeah, and then the COTI just has this model at a minimal Category 5 hurricane, which all of that depends on how quickly this thing intensifies and and if the structure stays the way it is, and just perfectly organized and everything. But this really shows you nothing is off the table at this time. We could see it. What I think the NHC's I think the NHC's intensity prediction in this case is the most likely outcome. That's my opinion. So I think they're right on this at the time of recording. Just keep that in mind. I think they're actually right with this thing strengthening, considering how quickly this thing organized and expanded in size as well. You can really see that. There it is. And there you have it. There. So yeah, let's pull up to the last frame. This system is really, okay. Yeah, this system is really starting to ramp up. It looks like there's the eye right there. It looks like it's under a little bit of cloud cover. This is the eye last frame. So yeah, that eye is starting to clear out. So that's generally not a good sign. And that's basically means this thing's is going to intensify pretty quickly. Now let's go on to the key takeaways. First takeaway: this is an 85 mile per hour hurricane. It's not going to be an 85 mile per hour hurricane for long. It's going to rapidly intensify and is expected to continue for the next several days. Hurricane force winds are still 15 miles from the center, and tropical storm force winds are still 60 miles from the center. Pressure's down to 986, so it's definitely met that pressure threshold for rapid intensification. Second key takeaway of this cone: it appears that the cone has shifted more to the west for the next 12 hours. Basically from 12 hours ago ahead. Basically, the center was at this current rate, it was supposed to be over here. Now it's shifting more towards the west, which we can cross-check it with these models right here, and it shows that. But after 5 days, these models have it going more out to towards C, which let's hope that happens. And I don't expect that to happen. It's too early to say if it's going to or not, because this is 7 days out. So yeah, take these models after 5 days with a grain of salt. The next key takeaway: nothing's off the table for this system. It's expected to become a Cat 3 hurricane at least, and NHC has it at a 140 mile per hour hurricane. The COTI has this going up to all the way up to a 160 mile per hour Cat 5. So that's something new. There was a model run that had it before, that had it basically just at a Cat 5 with 175 mile per hour winds. That came down, thankfully. But now the model is another model showing it potentially getting up to Cat 5. So yeah, this storm is not kidding around. It shows you nothing's off the table for the intensity. Final key takeaway: this eye is starting to clear out. There's nearly a ring of at least minus 70s around it. There were some minus 80s popping up from here and there. So yeah, this thing is definitely strengthening. I'm gonna actually go back here. There's a minus 70 place right here. It appears to be getting larger or about the same size, so that's generally never a good sign. This is the core of the hurricane right here. It's a pretty small core, but it really expanded in size. So tropical storm force winds only extend about 60 miles from the center. I'd say that's a little conservative. I think it's more of 65 miles if we're going to be a little bit more liberal on that. But that's just my personal opinion, and it probably is just 60 miles, but it has expanded quite a bit. And you can see the northern part of these outer bands, they're not kidding around. So yeah, That's all I have on Hurricane Sam. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more updates.